Well, Russian President Vladimir Putin is now demanding that so-called unfriendly countries pay for Russian gas in rubles. But why are these countries relying on enemy resources to begin with? Well, our next guest says you can blame the Democrats' green movement for this. Joining us now is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who sits on the Committee on Foreign Relations. Senator, great to see you. I know you've got a recent op-ed out saying that the Democrats, their green policies have put us in this predicament. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, it's not only green policies here in our country, it's the green infection that's infected Europe as well. So in our country, under the Trump administration, we were energy independent. We were exporting oil. Now we've gone back to importing, and we are importing at least a small percentage from Russia, or we were until recently. But we have a great deal of ability to produce energy in this country. We have large gas and oil deposits in Anwar, a portion of Alaska, that's been a hot potato between the parties for years, but was legalized and normalized for drilling there under the Trump administration, but was discontinued under the Biden administration. So we have all kinds of ways to replace Russian oil here, but it's even worse in Europe. I mean, Europe completely cut down, Germany in particular, got rid of coal within a period of a few years and also got rid of nuclear power. That's made them much more dependent on Russia. So really all of Russia's power has been gained, and there's actually been some reports that Russia actually funds the green movement in our country to try to shut down our oil production, which if anybody's manipulating politics, somebody ought to look into that, whether Russia actually gives contributions to green climate alarmism type of, supposedly nonpartisan groups.
Yeah.
I do want to switch gears with you, Senator, to the Supreme Court hearings that are happening. Your Republican colleagues have made Judge Brown Jackson's record of sentencing on child pornography case a focal point of their questioning. Senator Graham brought it up again today. Listen to this.
You can be doing this for 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, you are looking at 30, 40, 50 years in prison.
Good. Good.
I understand.
Absolutely
Senator,
good. I hope you are. Good.
Allow her to finish, please.
I hope you go to jail for 50 years if you're on the internet trolling for images of children and sexual exploitation. So you don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a horrible thing.
Senator, you've been a longtime advocate for prison reform and the rights of prisoners. Have you been pleased with Brown Jackson's defense of her record?
You know, I think that there is some defense for the difficulty in making sentencing judgments on things. I haven't looked at the individual cases they're referring to, and I think most of them did get many years in prison. My main objection has been to her, I think, just sort of inability to answer even the simplest questions. You know, Senator Blackburn asked her a question and said, "Can you define a woman?" Well, if you're not even willing to answer that question, and many of the questions she's been unwilling to answer, but if you can't answer the question, what is a woman, or the definition of a woman, how's she going to adjudicate Title IX cases that have to do with women or women in sports? How's she going to adjudicate whether a boy who swims for UPenn can then all of a sudden switch and pretend to be a girl and swim on the girls' team? She's not going to be able to adjudicate any of these things, or actually she's telegraphing to us that she is going to adjudicate them in such that you can be whatever you feel like you want to be that day, which will lead to a ruination of women's sports and will lead to really chaos in women's sports and women's athletics. I mean, what kind of bizarre world are we living in now that the woman of the year is really a man that's had some kind of surgery to remove their secondary sexual characteristics? You know, that's the woman of the year we're supposed to be celebrating. What about real women? We're not going to celebrate real women who are doing amazing in our country in every occupation you can imagine. We're going to let men who now think they're women get women's prizes. I mean, it's just an amazing insult. And if she can't define women, I think she's going to be part of the problem.